target in range.
Alright guys, Identity here with yet another build. I wanted to show you all that I can regarding the new gear and weapons, because the majority of the time, new updates to the Division 2 come with a lot of goodies. The Specialist is a combination of two builds I previously made, two legendary builds in fact, and these are only made possible with the advent of TU11. I hope you like this one, because it comes with very much versatility, which is always needed in a game like this. Alright, I'm back again with another build, and I did say this was a combination of two legendary builds. Those two builds are the Liberty Technician and Impregnable, two of my favorite shield tank builds. One was primarily for PvE and the other was primarily for PvP. This Memento exotic backpack is what brought these two builds together to create this beast. Specialist is the perfect name for this build. It allows you to do so much, and it gives you not one, not two, but 3 free skill tiers. How crazy is that? Now I don't think you really understand how good this Memento backpack is, because I didn't at first. But this is certifiably the greatest exotic backpack the Division has ever made. Period. Hands down. And I'm going to show you why right now. Of course I'm going with the Technician specialization for many reasons. But the primary reason I'm doing that is for that one extra skill tier that it gives you. So that's the first one. The primary weapon I'm using is the Backfire SMG, the new exotic released with TU11. Okay, there's a reason why I'm using this, because by default, this build I have on has hazard protection. So why not use the Backfire? Because I'm going to take a small amount of bleed after reloading. It gives you the extra 200% critical hit damage. It fits just right in this build, which doesn't emphasize crit as its primary stat. Of course, a lot of you saw the PTS and you know what the Backfire does. Payment in kind, dealing damage to enemies adds stacks of crit damage, 1% each bullet, up to 200 stacks. So you could essentially get 200% critical hit damage once this is maxed out, but on reload you apply a bleed to yourself, which is why this fits so perfectly in this build. The secondary is this Tactical Vector SBR. It has a very high fire rate, 1200 RPM, and that's because I have measured. Measured makes the fire rate on this weapon deal so much damage. But these two weapons are just my backups. And I did say this was two builds in one. So that means it's two playstyles. And I'm going to show you both of them. The one I'm showing you now is the one I use in PvE and is going to be the most effective. This pistol is called the Kard-45. It's a new pistol added to the game. It doesn't come with any specific named talent, which was good. But it does come with a free skill tier, the second free skill tier that I was talking about. But the only way you're able to utilize this is by actually wielding the weapon. It can't be holstered, it has to be in your hand actually, which is why it's best for this build. I rolled 𝐁𝐞𝐜 on it, and this is why I'm happy it didn't come with its named talent, because you can mold it to whatever playstyle you want. Everybody knows what 𝐁𝐞𝐜 does. If you're a returning player, 𝐁𝐞𝐜 is arguably the best talent in the game. It hasn't been nerfed, it's still the same, because when you pull a skill out, you don't even have to use it, you just pull it out, then it activates. It gives you 15% weapon damage and 15% skill damage. And the damage is doubled when both buffs are active at the same time. So if you're using a skill while firing, then you're going to get 30% damage for both. Alright, let's talk about this build. The mask is the Punch Drunk. It's the DNH named variant. The 20% pistol damage is great. There's no other damage talent that gives you 20%. Every other damage bonus gives you 15. None of them give you 20, except for pistol damage. And it gives you 20% headshot damage. Now I rolled this to skill tier because I want my shield to be at tier 6. And also my skills. My dream mask for this build would be skill damage right here. And as you can see, I have a disrupt resistance mod. I noticed that they rolled back that 20% resistance mods. That would have been crazy. That was actually a good decision because we would just be in the same position we were in before. People easily able to stack 100% hazard protection, no problem. So that was a good decision for them to roll this back. It'll make you work for your hazard protection, which is what I like. Now this chest piece, I've had this for months. One of my favorite chest pieces in the game. Y'all gear comes with 10% hazard protection, which means if you have a hazard protection rolled already on it, that's 20% just from this piece. Then you throw a mod in here, that's 30. So just on this piece alone, I got 30% hazard protection. And I rolled skill damage on here. The talent is Spark, and this coincides with 𝐻𝐴𝐴 because when you damage enemies with your skill, it gives you another 15%. So that whole combination of damage you get is going to add up to 45% damage once all the stars align, which is easy. So you're going to be consistently dealing this damage along with your skills. The holster, claws out, hands down. Another 10% pistol damage, and it's already rolled to skill tier because Wyvern is skill based. 500% melee damage, which is awesome in PvP, and it helps in PvE too. I mean, melee is not really preferred in this game, but if you add 500% to it, I think it'll be noticeable enough to use. Hazard protection rolled on here, of course, so now I'm at 50, right? Now, the hazard protection doesn't need to be at 100%. The only thing that needs to be 90 to 100% is your disrupt resistance, because you don't want anybody taking your shield down with any form of disruption. You want your shield to be immune, and this is a tier 6 shield. It's a combination of skill tier and armor cores, because you know both give you stacks to your shield, which was a great addition they made in last patch. These stats are crazy at tier 6. I did hear Bruce Kelly saying that they were going to reduce the damage that the bulwark shield receives in PvP, which is awesome because your shield takes a lot of damage when people are just ADSing it. But if you can be that guy that leads the charge with your team by your side, then they're not going to focus on your shield 100%, which will make this insanely hard to take down, especially because they can't take it down with any jammer pulse. All right. This is what I was talking about. This is the unifier, the Memento exotic backpack. It reminds me of the Ninja Bike messenger bag from Division 1. It reminds me of so many things. But this is like my dream backpack, man. First of all, it has all 3 of the cores. So it gives you extra armor, extra weapon damage, and this is where my 3rd skill tier comes from. 3 free skill tiers. That's nuts. And of course I have a disrupt resistance mod, right? So this is a little bit complicated, okay, but I'm gonna simplify it for you. Whenever you get a kill, enemies drop a trophy. Depending on what you're wearing, that trophy gives you a buff based on that. So if you have, for example, a 6-tier skill build, which I have amongst others, I have like 2 armor cores and 2 weapon cores as well. But the main buff is going to be to your skill efficiency. If you don't know what skill efficiency is, this was something new added to TU11. My clanmate 𝐁𝐿 said it the best. He said that this is the skill equivalent to weapon handling. Weapon handling does everything to increase your weapon's efficiency. Accuracy, stability, reload speed, the works. Skill efficiency is the equivalent of that. So it increases your skill haste, your skill damage, anything to make your skills better. And that's the short-term buff that it gives you, which is for 10 seconds. And that's not all that it does, because it gives you a long-term buff that lasts for 5 minutes. Oh my goodness. So for every trophy they drop for the long-term buff gives you an additional 1% weapon damage, 1% skill efficiency, and 0.1% armor regeneration. And this goes up to 30 stacks. Let's say you get maximum stacks. Your armor regeneration is going to be pretty significant. So if you get in a jam where you don't have any armor kits, you could sit back, play it safe, and your armor would just come back slowly. Now the 𝐶𝐴𝐵 robot is essential, just like the y'all gear is. You need 2 pieces of this in order to activate the 2-piece bonus. Hazard protection, another 10%. I wasn't able to roll hazard protection right here, but it's fine because with disrupt resistance, I'm at 90%. I rolled this to skill tier so I could have 6. And the second piece are the knee pads. I did roll hazard protection here, and skill damage came on it already. So this combination right here is allowing me to have 60% hazard protection and 90% disrupt resistance. 90%, I think, or 88 is the threshold that you need in order to not be affected by any form of disruption. Now the second skill I'm using, of course, this was what I used on a Liberty Technician. It's the striker drone, hitting for 11k in PvP damage and 55k PvE damage. This is, by the way, without any of the buffs from Memento. I did say I don't use this drone in PvP, but I'm going to try it because I did use the LibTech in PvP before. Only problem is it didn't have disrupt resistance. So I'm gonna take this into PvP. It's gonna be an animal. But I did tell you how I use this in PvP. And here's how I use it. This is a different variant. I'm not able to use the backfire. And that's fine because I'm using the Liberty exotic pistol, which is hitting for almost 500k damage. The Liberty is the hardest hitting pistol in the game. It's a D50 variant and it's just an amazing exotic. I've done a lot of builds with this. This is what I was using with Impregnable. The talent is called Liberty or Death. It gives you 2% weapon damage stacks, up to 30, and 3% shield stacks based on hitting the enemy in the body. So if you get 10 stacks, then hit them in the head, that's 20% weapon damage that you consume and 30% shield stacks you consume. This helps in legendary missions and legendary content, heroic content. When you have those big tanks with the miniguns shooting your shield, just shredding your shield, you get the stacks on them by hitting them in the body, shooting their chain. And then once you get enough stacks, you hit them in the head, boom, your shield is filled up to 100%. The build is pretty much the same. The only difference is that I don't have the backfire and I'm not using the drone. This time I'm using the burn sticky bomb. Now it's a 5 tier because I'm not using the card, so I get 2 extra skill tiers instead of 3. But a 5 tier fire sticky bomb is very strong, 325k PvP damage. So the way that I use this is kind of like I'm a bunker buster. I run up in the middle of things and open a pathway for my team to run through and wreak havoc. I've done this on numerous occasions, and people don't really expect you to pull out a sticky bomb when you're holding a bulwark shield, let alone a sticky bomb that does this much skill damage. 100% burn duration, 50% burn damage, and 75% skill haste for a tier 5. Do you see why I call this the specialist? I'm sure you do. And I was trying to contain myself when I was putting this build together, because when I saw it and I thought about it and I realized how much of an animal this was, how much of a problem it's going to be. And I know you'll love it. So I highly suggest that you put this build together, because I was using it in Summit on legendary floors, breezing through it like it was heroic or challenging. All you have to do is keep your wits about you, watch your back, and play smart, and you'll be successful with this build. And if you like builds from DPS all the way to skill, then please drop a like and don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel if you're new. Until I see you in my next video, be right out.